All right. Welcome back to the hot seat. On this show, we have the 2019 winner of Beyond the Ultimate Ice Ultra, a 230K 5-day stage race in the Arctic Circle. Previous 8th place finisher at the 2017 Gobi Desert Ultra. This is a 400 plus kilometer nonstop, 106 hours on his feet. Welcome to the show, Simon Grimstrup. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks. Good to be here.
Thanks for coming on and sitting in the hot seat. Simon and I attempted this recording a little earlier. We had some technical issues, so we're going to see if we can stick it this time.
Yep, let's try again.
All right, before we dig too deep into this interview, share something with our audience that most people probably don't know about you.
Well, yeah. Well, there's probably a lot of things they don't know. Hopefully there is. Not that I have anything to hide, but yeah, actually I don't like being on the phone. So so this is yeah, if I get a little bit nervous, that's why, because this is kind of on a phone.
Yeah, we are kind of on the
Yeah.
phone. Well, thank you for
I like
coming
to
on.
yeah, thanks.
Um, so let's start from the beginning. Before ultra running, before you ran across the Gobi Desert, before any of that, where are you from and what were you like as a kid?
Um I think I'm probably different than what I think I was. But I've always been a scout because all my brothers were scouts, and my family has been like into scouting, boy scouting, and therefore I'm not a typical runner because my family is not a sports family. But my brother, one of my older brothers, he was doing rowing, and in the wintertime they could not row, so he asked me to come to his club, and there was this fun run every Saturday, and he asked me come along, and I said okay, yeah, I would like to. And on the way down there, I remember he told me, I'm not gonna wait for you. There's probably gonna be some old people you can run with, otherwise there'll be some yellow arrows and stuff. And then I ended up beating him, and he's like 3 years older, so he stopped running, and I just found out, wow, I like running, and that was when I was 10, and since then I've been running a lot. So in my childhood, I was a scout. I liked, and then I did these running adventures in the forests, and never been in a club or anything before I was like 23. I turned up to learn orienteering, to do
Hmm.
orienteering as a sport. And then I started doing a little bit of adventure racing and always been hiking a lot. Been going to the mountains also because of the scout stuff. And then when I was 35 or something, I found out I was actually pretty good at these endurance runs and mountain runs. And yeah, so that's how it started. And then just suddenly I was into elite running and on the national team of running. And wow, I didn't see that coming. I'm not like elitist or anything.
Yeah. One thing I find interesting is you're from Denmark, and Denmark's not exactly known for its mountains, but you seem to excel at the steep, rough terrain. How do you make that connection?
Actually, I live right next to the Sky Mountain, we call it, and that's one of the highest points in Denmark, and it's 150 meters. And yeah, but it's actually quite a hill. So I can do like run uphill for like 5 minutes if I go really fast,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then I'm on the top of the hill. So I do that a lot. Actually, I run up and down all the time. So we have a lot of small hills, but very steep hills and very muddy hills, muddy terrain. And then otherwise, I go to the Alps for training. And yeah, so I spend a lot of time in the Alps and the mountains,
So,
also to get used to it.
so at 35 years old, you ran your first race. Where was that at? How did that go down?
It's not my first race, but I've done a lot of road running and 10Ks and half marathons, just fun runs. And yeah, it was. I've been working as a mountain guide for the national television in the Pyrenees for 5 weeks, guiding a group of people that had lifestyle diseases and tried to get into shape to get rid of all the pills and tablets and stuff. And then every time we went down to a little village, mountain village, I saw these nice posters of all these mountain runs and trail runs, and I thought, wow, that looks good, but it also seemed very long. So when I finished that hike, I found a race in Italy, and I signed up for that race, and it was 63 k's and a lot of climbing, and that was really a challenge for me. And then I came down there, and I remember I did hike the route before, like in 5 days or something, and when I got to the start line, I got so nervous because everybody there looked like they'd been running all their life. You know, the Italians, they're very slim and very fit and stylish and had all these backpacks with the bottles in the front. And wow, I actually got so, I was really afraid that I was going to lose to the whole bunch. There was like 500 people or something. But yeah, hey, then we started climbing the first mountain, and I saw, okay, I'm actually leading, not leading, but almost. I was like number 4 or 3, and I ended 4th in that race. And Italians, they're so nice people. They like partying, and they put the first 6 on the podium, and there I were with a podium picture.
Nice.
So I didn't expect that. Yeah.
So that was your first ultra race, your first over 26-mile race?
Yeah, definitely. I only did like 1 marathon before that, and but I'd done some long adventure races before that.
Let me back up real quick. So you were doing this program where you were taking, I'm assuming, very obese people or people who weren't living healthy, and then you were hiking
Yeah.
and losing weight. Did it work for the people? Did they get off the meds and lose weight?
Yeah, actually, the program was following the people for half a year, and it worked really well. When I got them, they couldn't have done it when they started. They had a coach there for half a year. It was a big setup, but they managed, and they lost like 40 kilograms, so that's a lot of weight.
That is a lot of
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah, and most of them, actually, I think most of them kept the weight down. Some went back into bad habits, but some of them actually got out of it. So
One
yeah,
thing I was reading here on your resume was this Gobi Desert race, 400 plus kilometers. You finished this thing in 106 hours. That just blows me away. Kind of set the stage. How did you end up at this event, and just kind of describe to me what happened out there?
well, I ended up there. That's probably, can you say that in English? But it's like a culmination of. It was just like things that just kept going from my first race in Italy, and then I did UTMB, and suddenly I was all over running and doing stuff, and suddenly I was invited for this race in 2017. And I don't see myself as an ultra runner. I see myself as a mountain runner, trail runner. I don't like going too far, but I'm good at going far. But this race was mostly flat, and in 2017 I had a really bad year because I found out, because of all the hill running I've done, I couldn't run flat anymore. So I got a bad bollock from running flat. So it was a really a tough race. So I was invited there with 10 other elite runners, and that's how I ended up there.
So there were only 10 of you who did this race?
No, we were like 50, but to make up a tough battle, I think they put in like 10 invited runners, and
Right.
because I would never sign up for it. It sounded too crazy for me and too mental. Yeah.
So you're at the starting line, and you've only got 400 kilometers to go,
Yeah.
and you're in the middle of the desert. What are you thinking?
I think I was not trying to think too much because after 8K, I knew that my bollocks was not my bollocks, but was to say my back was going to be painful, but I was just thinking just to the next checkpoint. Like in any other race, you try not to think about how far you have to run, but just to the next checkpoint. So I was thinking maybe 1 marathon ahead, and then trying not to think too much. And then when we started running, I started thinking, wow, how everybody told me to go slow, but how slow can you go? And should I walk or should I run or whatever? Because normally I do mountain runs, and it's quite obvious. You walk uphill and you go as fast as you can downhill, because then it's free running. But on the flat, it was like, I didn't know what to do. And then there was this really good runner really not just a good runner, but a good person. Dan Lawson, he was there. He's like really, he's a really good fellow and a good ultra runner, and I tried to battle him, even though I knew I shouldn't do it. I tried to battle him, and halfway through, I just completely my muscles just went down, and I had to stop. I couldn't barely stand on my legs. Yeah.
Interesting. Interesting. And so then, did you finish? I mean, I guess you finished at 106
Yeah,
hours, but
yeah, I finished, but my aim was to do it like in 80 hours. But halfway through the race, I was in so much pain. I was moving with, I think, like so slow, like 2 k's per hour or something, really like just crawling.
oh,
And then I came to the halfway point, and actually I wanted to quit, but there was this guy making a film, and a Danish guy, and we decided before the race that I could always sleep a night and take a night off and then try again. So I didn't quit, and I stayed in the tent, and I thought, well, I'm not going to run because it was just so painful. And then the next morning I got up and went for the toilet, and I said, oh no, I can actually walk without too much pain. And then I didn't want to do the race again because it was so mentally tough. So I started walking, and then my plan was actually just to walk and take all the breaks, but it was so long, so I decided just to after a while to set a new goal and not to think about competition, but just to walk like non-stop, no sleep, no stops or anything. So
no sleep. So tell me a little bit about that. So you're awake for the winters. You were looking for 80 hours. I mean,
yeah.
are people napping every little bit? Are you just full on sleep deprivation? How's that? How did it work for everybody?
For everybody, I think if you look at Dan Lawson, the winner, he was a machine at that race, and he finished in 72 hours, which is really incredible. And I think he slept once for 2 hours. And then there was Nico Bassi from Italy. He was second. He finished in 80 hours, and he didn't sleep at all. But I spoke to him after the race, and he hardly remembered anything of the race. Yeah. So,
Tell me,
but I know. Yeah. Sorry.
tell me about that experience of sleep deprivation. What's it like?
Oh, that actually was probably the thing that turned the race into a really good experience for me. Because halfway, the first 200 Ks I was negative and just thinking about all the things that were going wrong. And when I started walking, I got this new goal of just not stopping. And also just, otherwise it would never end because walking is so slow. But then the first night was okay. And then the second night, I started, first of all, when the sun was coming down, I got really like sleepy, and I started seeing things, and I was not really aware of at that time that it was just sleep monsters. But I saw like a big, like Grand Canyon ahead of me, and I never got to this Grand Canyon. I was just, wow, is that Grand Canyon? And then I walked, and then it got dark, and I got really sleepy, and I was trying not to, just fighting the feeling of wanting to lay down and sleep. And then after a while, it turned into like, I really started hallucination, seeing like sleep monsters. First, I saw some graffiti on there were some cliffs, and wow, nice graffiti out here. And when I came closer, and then I could see, okay, it's not graffiti, it's just the cliff and some shades from the light of my headlamp. And then I saw some of these trolls that the Germans put in the gardens. I don't know if you know them, small gnomes. And that was, wow, they're nice. And then I was really scared because there was this big dog just sitting, and I was just looking at this big dog, and I was just like, wow, is it gonna get me? Oh, it hasn't seen me yet. And I was like, should I attack, or should I take a stone, or what should I do? And I was just, my adrenaline was really pumping, and I was scared like hell. I was alone in the dark with that big dog, and then it just disappeared into a bush, like it just turned into a bush. And it was like, oh. And then I just walked a little bit in this fantasy world, and suddenly the desert was not that boring anymore. And then I think actually uh, I started like sleeping for a few split seconds and then waking up, and I always had my mind on the GPS and finding my way and keeping moving forward. And then I woke up when I reached CP, and there was this guy in front of me talking to me, and it's like waking up. And then I was fresh again. So I never stopped. And the funny thing is, if you look at my tracking, I didn't slow down, even though I was like sleeping a little bit.
That is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Sleep monsters. I like that. I've never heard that term before. I'm gonna hang on to
Okay.
that one.
Yeah.
So let's jump away from the desert here, and
Yeah.
just this year, the Beyond the Ultimate Ice Ultras is a 230K race in Sweden.
Yeah.
Okay.
In the northern Sweden, yes.
Okay, so this is a stage event over 5 days. So are you on snow, or are you on, like, what's the terrain up in the Arctic Circle for this event? Like,
Well, it's very beautiful. The two first stages are mountainous, and then you get into some flat areas. But you run in tracks made from snowmobiles. So actually, it's quite terrible terrain to run in. I've been in the area before on skis, and I would prefer that if I went for just yeah. But you bring snowshoes with you, and yeah, and so it's really, the ground is really, sometimes it's very solid, easy running, and some places it's very loose snow, and you just go through even with the snowshoes. It's like you're making very little progress. And in the mountains, it was like you have this hard layer of snow on the top, and sometimes it holds you, and sometimes you go through. And so that was really, really hard, because it was just just really hard on the foot. Yeah.
yeah, that's so frustrating. What was your pace during that event?
It was actually very slow. But I think my pace, actually, I think I finished in 27 hours. I think we went really fast because there was this really good German runner, and our friend. We became friends during the event by pushing each other. We were battling each stage, and so we pushed all that we could. And I think the pace might be, that's hard to say because we have kilometers, but if we go fast, it's 7 minutes per kilometers or 6 minutes per kilometers, and it's slow pace.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're post holing through the snow, so we'll give you a little credit for that, Simon. So, moving on from from winning that race, you've done UTMB, you've done this race in the desert, you've done this race in the Arctic. I mean, you've kind of covered all the gambit of these events. What draws you to those? What drew you away from doing half marathons and things like that out into these basically expedition runs?
Coincidence. uh, yeah, I think it's a coincidence, but I'm really happy that it turned out that way. After I did the race in Italy, that's actually 5 years ago now, I got on the podium, put it on the Facebook, and then a good friend of mine, he knew a guy who was Wes, who was actually organizing for the Beyond the Ultimate in the Amazonas, and he threw me a ticket for his race. I said, "Wow, thank you. That's a nice one." But actually, they just give you water, so it was a quite free one. But then I got into this Stateway event for the first time, and at that time I didn't run even 5 days of training consecutive. That's how I say it. So that's doing 230 kilometers was like, oof, in 5 days. That's crazy. And the longest distance were 90 Ks, and I couldn't. And then when we got there, they started like making it even more extreme, telling about all the dangers out there, snakes that would hunt you down, and big cats that would get you. But I was like, I'm from Denmark. It's and yeah, we have a little bit of Viking attitude, I think. And I was just thinking, well, all the Indians, they're living here and they're doing fine, and I don't see any dead people I had to cross or anything. So I thought maybe it's gonna be fine. And then there was this, or Ian Sherman, a really good English runner who lives in America, really good one. He was there at that race, and I didn't expect to follow him at all, but actually I ended up winning against him. And from that point on, I was not like in Italy. I was thinking everybody ran all their life, but I was thinking, okay, actually I run all my life. I've been running, and actually I'm quite good. So the next time I was at the start list, I was like, okay, I've just been beating one of the best runners and trail runners in the world. So maybe I can try to compete a little bit higher and put my time goals a little bit high. And then I got a lot of self-confidence, and it just moved on. And then suddenly I saw myself in UTMB, even though I thought that doing 100 miles were crazy. So, and then from there on, it's just been, I just see what happens. Yeah.
It's been a snowball for you. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
What would you say, you were doing these races and you never really thought of yourself as an elite level runner, but you kind of found yourself competing with the lead packs and whatnot. Was there ever any kind of aha moment when you went from, yeah, I'm just showing up to compete, to, yeah, I'm gonna show up and try and win this thing?
Actually, I think when I had a hard, I raced really well in the Amazonas, and after winning that was that changed my way of looking at myself. I think trying, okay, I can actually do something, and after that race, I signed up for UTMB because I did some other races, and suddenly I had the qualification points that I needed, and it's like I was suddenly in the trail running community, and if you have those points, you sign up for UTMB, and I was just crossing my fingers I wouldn't get in, and I got into the race, and then, wow, I thought 100 miles, then I better start training. So I prepared myself for 8 months for that race.
Wow.
And that was the first time I trained for anything specific like that.
And how did it go?
Well, I had some tough goals. I wanted to do it in 24 hours, which is a really fast time. And I prepared really well. But on race day, the race starts at 6 o'clock. And I was so nervous because this 100 miles sounds so long. So I ate a lot of food, just ate and ate and ate. And then I always have this routine that I can eat a lot. And then when I drink coffee, I'll go out and get rid of all the stuff I've put in my stomach.
Right.
But that didn't work out at all. So first of all, when I got to the start line with all the big stars and big shots, and I was like, wow, starstruck, I also really feel like going for a pee. So I was really angered to get the start done and then get running, and then it just explodes. You have like 2,500 runners between you, and they just push you out there. So you just run like really fast, and I would run faster there than if I should do a 10K run.
Oh, wow. You there? Simon, you there? I can hear you.
Yep, I'm back.
Okay.
I'm back.
Good. So you started out this race faster than you would run a 10K?
Yeah, the first couple of Ks, because you do like, I don't know in miles, but I did like 3:30 or something, because that's just the speed if you're in the front of the whole pack.
Oh, wow.
Because I was like elite, so you just bang out there. If you stop, it's like, I think you're gonna die. You don't want to fall or anything. So I just ran, and then I went to the first and the best tree I saw when we get into the forest, and then we started on the uphill, and it was really nice. And I was looking, wow, all these people I knew from YouTube, like Anton Kopitschka and all these guys. I was running with those and doing really well on the uphill. And then we started on the downhill, and then it was like, a ketchup bottle that suddenly it starts coming out of you. So I just needed the
Oh.
toilet. Yeah. And that went on for like the first 75 kilometers. Every time we went downhill, it was like, oh, my stomach hurted, and it was raining, and it was really, really, really rough. And it was in the night. And I remember the last time I went off the trail, and I was sitting there, and it was a long uphill, and you just see all these headlamps passing by, and I was like, oh, I was almost quitting, but I could still see that even though my stomach was totally upset, I was having a pretty okay time. And then this headlight, I was sitting there just about thinking about quitting. This headlamp turned around, and somebody shouted, "Are you okay?" And I shouted back, "Yeah, yeah, I'm just having a problem with my stomach." And then he called back, "Oh, it's you, Denmark." And then I remember it was some American runner who I had been running with earlier in the race. And it just made me so happy that somebody gave me a little bit of thought in this hard moment where I was sitting there in the rain, alone in the dark, getting ready to quit. And somebody was actually, yeah, taking care of me. So I didn't see him. I don't know his name, but then I got up and got going, and then actually it went okay. It went really well. I finished in 25 hours. So I hope for a better time, but still it was a really good time.
Nice. That race is something else. I've watched some video of it, and just the start and the finish line crowds and whatever, it seems pretty unmatched.
Yeah, I think it is. It's just a gathering of everyone. Everybody's there.
What's your training like? What'd you do to get ready for that race?
When you come from a flat land like I do, well, I have the hills. I had a mantra saying that I should every downhill I should run as fast as I could. So every time I went downhill, I just kicked in, and then I put in a lot of hiking with the backpack, because I found out when I did that hike with before the race in Italy, that made me really strong. So I hiked with 25 kilos on my back, going up and down, up and down, and up and down. Um, so it's a very specific training. I don't like doing strength training or doing anything indoor, so everything was outdoor.
Mm.
And then I got a job as a mountain guide to be in the mountains, also to prepare for the altitude and prepare for cliffs. And we don't have any cliffs or anything in Denmark, so get used to that environment. Yeah.
When you're getting ready for something like UTMB, do you log number of hours a week or number of miles a week, or do you have any baseline like that?
Yeah, I log my time on the feet. Um, I always look at the hours, because I never do any fast. Well, I do fast running, but when you go up and down and run in the terrain all the time, it's very slow pace. So, but at that time it was between 10 and 20 hours a week.
10
A
and
lot of
20.
slow moving, yeah.
That's
And then I worked in the mountains, and that was full days, yeah.
right, right. What about diet?
Um, Actually, I haven't been so strict on my diet. That came in later, because I did all that running the first years, and then I got a little bit tired of running, and I took a time off, and then I just started eating, and I got a little bit fat, and not that fat, but then I suddenly had a sponsor called Compress Sport, and it's like very slim fit, and I looked at that and I said, "Oh, that doesn't look too good." And I thought, okay, I might have to lose some weight, and I tried some things. You can go to the internet and look at some different things and times of diets and stuff, and it just made me think more and more about food and made me eat even more. So I found out, okay, I'm gonna make this very simple. So I said, for morning I'll have a little bit of muesli, and then for lunch and for dinner I'll take some beans, just a can of beans, kidney beans, and then I'll just eat all the fruit and vegetables that I want to. And if I go and see somebody, be invited somewhere, I just eat what they eat. So
Right.
I got very social. But actually, I lost like 8 kilos in 8 weeks,
Oh, wow.
and I found out that I was strong and I felt very energetic doing that diet. And normally, if you lose 1 kilo per week, you shouldn't. That's actually too much. But I felt really good and strong and could do my training. And there, after that, actually, I started cutting down on the meat after those 8 weeks. And now I'm not like strict vegan, but I don't. If I can, I don't do any meat or milks or anything like that. But
Hmm.
I'm still polite. So if I'm invited to some place, I'll try not to eat the meat. But if it's impossible, like minced meat or something in a sauce or something, I can take a little bit of it. But I'm not like crazy vegan.
Right.
I'm just like, yeah. So
Well,
so now I'm actually serious about it
serious
a
about your
little bit.
diet, your vegan
Yeah,
diet?
yeah, not serious, but trying not to eat too much.
Personally, I love dieting. Like
Mm,
I like seeing the way I feel after, eating a certain way for 3 or 4 weeks, and I don't know.
okay.
It's always seems interesting to me.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. 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 Not too. I've never been dieting. Not before those cans of beans. So what diets do you do?
oh man, I've tried everything from I've been vegetarian for a while. I've done the keto diets. I've done intermittent fasting where, I'll only eat, you know, um, one day of the week I won't eat anything.
Oh, yeah.
I've tried all sorts of different diets, but when I was in college, I was all through high school and college, I was on the wrestling team. So dieting and weight control is just a part of that
Wow.
dynamic, and it's kind of just followed me for years. But anyway,
And
um,
what do you do now? Just the
now,
gym.
well, since now I just kind of eat whatever I want since I've had kids. so,
Okay.
so it's definitely changed since I've had kids. But I'd say I'm definitely plant based, sprinkle
Yeah.
in a
Yeah.
little meat here and there. And I'm kind of like you. I don't like to go to a social situation and say, "Ooh, I don't want to have that" or whatever. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll kind of go along with the
Bringing
crowd.
your own salads and
Yeah,
stuff, but it's okay. Yeah.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think I just need to cut back on the beer.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. For me to get in shape, it's just to lose weight. So
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. So you win this race. You've won several events. I'm sure you obviously weren't always on top of the podium through this running career and through this new sport you found. What's been your lowest moment? What's been the moment when you're really down in the dumps?
well, actually, I think it was at the Gobi Desert halfway through, because the whole year I had suffered with some injury I couldn't get rid of, and then it was just like being out in the Gobi Desert and just laying there and feeling ridiculous. What am I doing here? It was like, so I think that was really low. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know if I think I'm not like, I've had other injuries, but it's like, because I'm grown up from a non-sports family, it's not like sports is, running is probably all my life. People will say that, but it's not like I don't see it like that. So I don't see that many low moments in my running career. I don't see it as a career. I see it as a hobby. Or
Right.
yeah, yeah. But actually, it's also my job now. It's running and doing trail camps but yeah, I don't feel like there had been some really low moments but
Well,
injuries are shit. Yeah,
well,
yeah,
laying on your back in the middle of the Gobi Desert with
yeah,
only being able to walk 1K an hour is pretty low.
yeah. And that felt not good.
What practical advice would you give to a young athlete, or a 30-year-old who wants to improve their game and get into ultras?
Um,
Someone's a runner, they like to jog. There's this
yeah,
30K
yeah.
race out there. What advice would you give them?
I would, well, there's many advices to give. There's some, you can give some advices on the training, but I would also maybe ask the question, why do they want to do it? What's the motivation for doing it? And finding out what makes them feel like they want to do it. And when they know that, then they can go for the next step and then find out how to train for it. And because I think it's very important to see it. You have a goal, you have an ultra you want to do, but actually the way to the ultra, the training and how you change your lifestyle and all that, that's actually more important than the race itself. So I think sometimes when I've done really good at races, actually it's really nice because it made me going outside, going fast downhill, actually having a good time getting there. So I think it's very important to not see just the goal, but also see actually the way to the goal is actually the main thing. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, and see it as a journey and look forward to the race, of course, because that's celebration. But if you put all your eggs in that basket, you sometimes it doesn't go. It's not easy. So I think it's important to see the way there. But of course, it's I'd say do it. If you're 30 years, yeah, you should do it. If you're sorry,
Oh,
that's
it's
my
all good.
brother calling.
The one that you beat in the race.
Yeah, I'll just let him down now.
Send him a text. Be like, remember when you were 13?
No, I think it's there's some really good things in ultras, and when I do talks about ultras, I also say that it's very, how do you say that, condensed life. Actually, Andrea, I was battling in at the Ice Ultra. I think we made friends for a lifetime up there in 5 days because we were battling and we were having a good social time afterwards, and then battling again and getting to know each other on some points that shows what you actually are.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some really good things in ultra running. So I think you should do it, but also find out why do we want to do it? Do we want to go fast, or do we want to go and explore and just see how it goes? Or there's many reasons for doing it. Yeah.
What if they wanted to turn it into a career like you? You mentioned earlier that now running is your job. What advice would you give for that?
Actually, you should just do what you want. Joseph Campbell, he says, follow your bliss. And he says something like, follow your bliss and the world will open doors where before were only walls. He has some saying like that. And I think that's just do whatever you like and go for it. And then you'll actually find small ways to make it happen. And for me, career, if you say that, it sounds like something you want to make money out of. But it could also just be get a lot of time to do what you like to do instead of making it into a job, because I don't get rich by doing this, but I always thought like, okay, I like running, I like to be outdoors and spend some time that way. So I think it's just do whatever you want to, and you'll find some ways to get through. Maybe you have to just eat cans of beans, but there's a lot of energy in that. I don't know if that makes sense, but maybe not push it too much, not think too much, because then it easily gets to I don't know. Yeah, you can think too much about things, and then it's not really real. You need to be real, and because there's so many out there on the Facebook and social media, and trying to make a career, but I think you should just stick to what you are and what you like to do.
There you go. Value bombs, Hammer Factor Nation. Follow your bliss. Remember that one. I like that one. So
Thanks.
I was reading on your bio, you're the captain of the Danish team. Now, is this like a state-sponsored team? What does that mean?
Oh yeah, actually I should have taken that off. I'm not that anymore, but I have been.
Okay. How does that
Um,
work?
Actually, there's like the World Championships of trail running. So I've been there as a runner, and because it's not funded very well, so they had to pick a runner to be in charge of the team and taking decisions and go to the meetings before the race, and that's what I've been doing, and then giving advice to the young runners. Yeah,
Okay, I gotcha.
yeah.
You know, the sport of ultra running, enduro sports, um, it seems to me like there's more 100-mile races, there's 200-mile races, there's these other events popping up. What do you see as the trend of the sport? Is it going to continue to get longer? Are we going to see more stage events? Like, how do you see it evolving from your chair?
People are definitely running longer and longer, and I think that's not just a trend. I think that's actually because people find out that we actually made for running long and slow. I think I don't know if it's correct, but evolution and scientists also found out that we were hunters when we evolved into hunters, and we're actually really good at running long distance, very slow. So I think people find out that if they go very slow, actually it's not so hard on the body as if you go push really hard through a road marathon, and where you're pacing yourself all the time, and you have this landing on the asphalt very, very hard, and you need special shoes. Actually, when you go out in the mountains and on the trails in the forest, it's more natural running. So I think people find out that it's easier to go trail running and go ultra running, and maybe not look so much at the times, but more enjoy just the act of running. Yeah. No, so I think that's not just a trend. I think it will be going that direction, and then I also see that people also want to. Myself, I actually like to go a little bit faster and not that far. So also see that we'll have more like very steep events, like in the Alps, like vertical races and sky running, and so more extreme in that way. Maybe a little bit too extreme. You have seen some people fall and luckily not die from it, but hurting themselves, and they're running some places I wouldn't race. That's for sure.
Right.
So it's always going to the edge. But I think many people that now have done like 100 miles, and that's getting into the normal thing. And I think just 5 years ago, I think that if you did 100-mile, wow. But now in the trail environment, or with my trail buddies, it's not like a lot of people have done like 100 miles. It's still long, but it's not something you turn your head around to see, oh, that guy did 100 miles. You ask, how fast did he do it?
No, I
Yeah,
hear you. I hear you.
yeah, yeah.
What's your year look like now? You started off with this win in the Arctic, and then we got a whole year coming up. What's your plan for 2019?
Oh, actually, I don't have that many plans this year. I'm like I want to get really back into good shape. And I want to really get on the top of my injury. That still was a little bit of that in the Ice Ultra. So I signed up for 5K vertical race in Norway. That's a total different thing. I always wanted to do a vertical race. I haven't done it. So I'll do that in June, and then I'm looking at a route in Norway, an FKT, 350 kilometers in Norway. And FKTs are not big in Denmark, but I would like to, or in Europe, but I'd like to try it on a trail and do it by myself. Yeah.
I love the FKT. That seems to be a movement, a trend that's happening
Yeah.
right now. What are
Yeah.
some of the significant ones that stood out to you that maybe inspired you to go out and attempt this run in Norway?
Yeah, I think that's definitely coming from it's coming from the US, but actually I also coached and paced the girl who set the record for Kilimanjaro last year, going uphill. So so that's so that kind of made me think that way. I would like to try and do an FKT, and it's easy now because there's not that many FKTs, so it's easier to do it in Europe now. Um, but actually, it's more like being out there for yourself. But I think the Appalachian trails you have,
Yeah,
I've heard
yeah,
some podcasts about people doing that, and I think that sounds like wow, sounds really interesting.
yeah. There's been some incredible feats. There's a lady here in my hometown, Wendy Davis, and she was the first person who FKT'd it. She had the
Okay.
FKT for a long period of time. It's definitely inspiring. I wish I could get the time to go run, for that many days in a row. I don't know if I'd necessarily look for the FKT, but
No, no, just to do it. Yeah.
just to do it, um, that would be something. Are there any sponsors or anything like that you'd like to give a shout out to that are helping you along the way?
Yeah. Not many, but there's some that I would like to shout out to. I'd like to shout out to a Danish company called Grimstrup because they made like accessories for cycling and for running, and actually they supported me before I I started really running, and that's because I organize races. So I would like to shout out to them. And then actually I just got in touch with Scott Running Shoes, and they'll help me. And then I have Yeti, which is a Danish brand making down jackets, and I organize an adventure race that they. It's gonna be the European Championships, and I'm gonna be the race director of that
Oh
in
wow,
2020. Yeah,
wow, that's a big deal.
and yeah, yeah, that's gonna be nice. That also gives me a lot of time out in the big outdoors to set that course. And then I have an energy sponsor called Agisco. Uh, and before that, I had Tailwind. So I'd like to thank both of them for supporting me. Yeah.
Was there anything else you'd like to share with our audience before we conclude this interview, Simon?
Um, no, just get out there running and please think about environment. I'd say I'd stop flying because of the carbon footprints that it puts out. So if I'll be going to your place, I will, but I'll see how I get there. But actually, that's really interesting now because now I'm traveling by train and trying to see the world, and it just got so much bigger. So yeah,
Interesting. Very
yeah.
interesting.
So that's also why I want to do that adventure in Norway to say you don't have to travel all the way to the other side of the world when you have mountains so close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Where can our listeners follow you? Are you on Instagram or Facebook, or where's the best place for people to follow you?
Um, yeah, I'm on Facebook. A place called the Barbarian Trail Runner, Simon Grimstrup, aka the Barbarian Trail Runner, and then I'm on Instagram, just Simon Grimstrup.
How'd you get the name the Barbarian?
Uh, well, somebody called me the Barbarian Trail Runner, and then I made this Facebook page just for fun, just before I thought it was quite ridiculous with all these names, and I'm the trail runner and blah blah blah. But then I suddenly got a lot of followers, and then I just stuck to it, and yeah, it just happened.
I like it.
So now I like it because it's not like I like barbarians, but but I like just go out just go out and do it. Don't think too much. Just do what you like, follow your bliss, kind of thinking. Yeah.
Well, well, thanks for your time coming onto the hot seat, Simon.
Thanks.
We're gonna have to have you back on the show after your FKT in Norway. So looking forward to
Yeah,
that.
that I'd like to tell you a little bit of that, and it'll also make me do it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
maybe we'll get you on the show immediately before it, so
yeah.
we can just see how everything's going. Super excited to hear about that.
Thanks. Yeah,
All right. Well, you have a good day, and thank you so much.
you're welcome.